Hi, this is Denise Mathew. I hope everybody's doing well. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I just read in the news today that a woman named Katherine Johnson, who was a mathematician and one of very instrumental in the space program. She was one of the inspiring women of the movie Hidden Figures. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really talk to the movie. But I thought it was kind of interesting because the one thing I was reading was that they were talking about how she broke barriers. And I thought, well, I wonder if she has a gate 59. And of course, yes, she does. So she is the cross of the sleeping phoenix. So I want to bring up her chart, and I just want to just do a quick talk about her chart and just a little bit about, she also has the 3420, which is a really important channel. And I think I'm going to do a whole video just on the 3420. I've already done some work with the 3420 in different places. I've talked about it, but I just think it really sort of deserves its own video, and I will do that in the future. But I just wanted to talk about that. And I just also wanted to talk about the gate 59, which I've already mentioned before when I was doing the energy of emotion series. So if we look at her chart, we can see that she doesn't have a lot of definition. Now, I don't have her birth time, so there's a little wiggle room, and that will be for especially the profile as well as the moon. So I can't be certain about either of those. But most of the rest of it stays the same. She is the right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix, which is always going to have the 3420, and they're always going to be a manifesting generator, which means they can do a lot of work. She also has a 59 in her sun, so that would have been something that defined her as an individual. Anything that goes through your sun is always going to be something that's all about you, and it really talks a lot about you. So the 59 in the sun really talks about the idea of, we talk about intimacy, but I also mentioned before when I've talked about it, 59 is all about the concept of breaking barriers. And what happened for her was, when I read the article about her passing, the first thing that it said was that she was breaking barriers, and she broke barriers for being a mathematician, also being a female. Back in 1961, there was a lot of barriers that were holding her to not be able to do what she did. In fact, I was reading on her bio that literally there wasn't even an education program, so her parents had to do some arrangements so she could actually continue to educate, because African American individuals were not able to be educated back then. So she really did break barriers and lived out her conscious sun considerably. If we look at the channel, the 3420, well, she would have been someone who could have definitely been a workaholic, somebody who would push the limits of what could be done. And then if we look down at her solar plexus, we see she's undefined, but she also has two hanging gates. One is the 55 and one is the 30. Now the 30 would be something that would be very important with her to continue on, to hold on to her ideas and not actually give up on her ideas. Because, in 1960, that 60s would have been very daunting for anybody, any woman or anybody being a mathematician or trying to talk about space programs and so forth, and for her to continue on and to push through it. And she was working with two other women. I don't know much about those people either. Again, I'm just kind of catching up on all of the information about who she is. But when I look at her chart, I just see so much of what was who she was. And if you also look at in her Mars, she has the gate 28. So anything in the fifth line is always going to talk about like a teaching energy where you're basically breaking down concepts or ideas so people can understand it. So when we talk about the 28 in line 5, we're talking about somebody who, her path wasn't easy, but yet she still continued to move forward and do what she needed to do. She does have a lot of leadership energy. You can see that she's got the 45, which is the gate of the queen or king. And that's featured in her Jupiter, which would be her reward. So being a leader would have been her reward, as well as the gate 45 in her nodes, in her south node, conscious and unconscious. So it was something that she started in her first half of life. And it doesn't mean you stop doing it when the nodes shift when you're in about 40 years of age. But it does say that, it's a real big destiny thing that you're sort of working on. And a lot of times we talk about the nodes, we're talking about them being karmic. And then if you see when she hit her 40s, she went into her 26, which would be her north node. And then that's all about sales. But it could be about sales, but it's also about selling ideas. It could be selling yourself. But the whole idea about the 26 is it's the energy that is for the greater good of everybody. So who benefits from it? It's not just I benefit from it. It's I benefit from it and other people benefit from it. So it's the greater good. We can also see that she has a defined head and ajna, and it's defined through the 6447. And the 6447 is all about big downloads, big ideas, big plans. And then she also has the gate 47, which sorts through the plans and decides what's worth doing and what's not worth doing. And it kind of breaks down the plans into smaller pieces so that they can be used. And she also has a gate 24, which is all about returning. So going back to where you were before, and it was in her Mercury, which is all about communication and going back. So I don't know how many times she would have had to bring her ideas to the table, but it seems like, she would have had that persistence, because again, she's got the 30 and she's got the 24, returning to the original thing. The other thing about the 24, which would really play into the whole scientific mathematics and that kind of thing, is just you're always going back and trying to figure out where you might have made a mistake, or the evidence that you might have missed, or just always going back to the same problem and just kind of reconfiguring it and reconfiguring it and reconfiguring it. And that would be very common for someone in her job as a mathematician, especially when it's in a program that's really never been done before. So her power and charisma, she would have had that as well. So you have somebody who's probably someone who felt like very energetic and felt very powerful, and just came with this ambiance of leadership, because she also has a gate 45 as well. Probably someone with a lot of presence. And because her presence was there, it was probably helpful to actually move her in the direction she needed to. I'm sure that she struggled a lot, because it would make sense with the gate 28 in her Mars. And that struggle, the whole thing about anything that's in your Mars is all about something that as you grow, you're getting more mature on how you're going to work with the energy of that particular gate. She also has the gate 52, and that's in her Jupiter. Jupiter is the rewards we get when we do our Saturn, and that's all about just having that ability to sit with something for a very long time. And it would be in the 6th line for her, which is all about being a role model. So experimenting with sitting with, these problems, these mathematical problems, and then, moving forward after and just going back with the gate 24. So you look at her chart, and you also see that she has a 52 in Pluto as well. So it's, there's a lot of energy in here that showed that she could have been a powerful woman. And I guess that was her destiny. I think it's pretty amazing how she completely broke barriers, that will always be known, and she'll always go down in history for what she did. And to have the type of incarnation cross that she had, the sleeping phoenix, but also to have the 59 in her conscious sun is just, it's pretty amazing to see. And she'll have the tremendous legacy. She's had a movie and all those kind of things, and lived to 101. So had a very long and a very inspiring life. So that's about all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back again soon. And thanks for being here, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.